Hello, everyone. My name's Cam. I'm an associate with SBSB, and I'm here today to talk to you about some real-world applications, some websites and tools that are available to you to help you get a grip on your personal financial situation, as well as just simplify things. Really, there's quite a few resources available to you. Ideally, I would recommend going and listening to our other podcasts on savings and budgeting, taxes and employee benefits, investing. If you don't have any previous knowledge of, financial planning and all the aspects that go into it. But say you've got a good wrap on what's going on and how you want to move forward with your plan. There's several websites that we would recommend, and we're going to go through our top 5 as well as a bonus website that we think really adds value both in our own lives and in our clients' lives, and it's really just helpful. The first site that I want to talk about is called Mint.com. I'm sure a lot of people listening might have heard about this, and there's a reason for that. Mint.com is the most widely used personal financial planning software available to the public. And essentially what it's known for is being this one-man band when it comes to financial planning. It covers everything from budgeting, investing, savings. You can check your credit score on it. It's all really encompassing and covers a lot of information. And so how it works is you set up an account with Mint, and then you can link various credit cards, debit cards, mortgage accounts, and investment accounts to your Mint.com account. And so when you log in going forward, you'll be able to see all this information aggregated from all your accounts on one clean sheet. And it has recommendations on how to improve your financial plan, maybe where your budget is a little bit out of line, and also credit score recommendations. How do you actually improve it? It'll give you tips and tricks. And it also lets you see how you're progressing towards your savings and investing goals. So they really pride themselves on being hands-off. So once you have your accounts linked, things just kind of free flow. And every single day, Mint will resync. It'll pull all transactions. It'll update for market returns on your investments and just give you a current picture of where you are at. So I know a lot of people at the firm use Mint.com. A lot of people in the public use it. It's very popular. It's because it's good at what it does. Now, the next resource that I want to talk about is a little bit more specific. It's called YNAB, spelled Y-N-A-B. It stands for You Need a Budget. And this is actually my favorite tool out of the top 5 that we're talking about today. This is much more specified than Mint.com. So where Mint was the one-man band that kind of covered everything, covered your credit card, your checking account, your investments, YNAB is all about budgeting. And their mantra is give every single dollar a purpose, and they really kind of stay true to that. So with YNAB, you can get a lot more specific about goals and budgeting. So if you have some big expenditure that's coming up in a few years, say you want to buy a car, that's what I'm working towards right now. I've got a 3-year timeline. I might ideally be able to put a down payment on a car within that time frame. And so I went into YNAB, and I set in the specifications for the goal, which they prompt you with a series of questions. What exactly do you want to have after a certain period of time? How much do you need to spend on rent and utilities? What are those discretionary and non-discretionary expenses? And it really gets down to the nitty-gritty. And so with Mint, they were all about being hands-off. And YNAB, they're actually not as hands-off as Mint, which some people might not like, but I personally find really helpful. So YNAB does link your credit cards and your checking account, so it does pull in transactions, but they really encourage you to go in and modify and categorize and even hard punch in transactions that have occurred. The reason for that is just to keep you up to date with what's going on. With Mint, you can swipe your credit card all day and go into Mint, and then you'll see those updated transactions without really any implications. With YNAB, you get the same effect, but you can go in and really kind of feel out the expenses that you've spent on a day-to-day basis. So it really holds you more accountable. That's a big thing about YNAB, is the accountability, and that's one of my favorite components of YNAB. Another big component of YNAB is the flexibility and dynamic nature of their budgeting tools. So with Mint, you would set a target amount of money that you would like to spend in a category over a month. Say it's $200 for dinner out. Come the end of the month, you might be way over that budget, you might be way under that budget. Next month starts, you'll still have that same flat $200 goal. With YNAB, say you set that $200 goal, and maybe you go a little bit under. The next month, YNAB recognizes that you underspent in that category, and it'll adjust going forwards and say, hey, you can spend a little bit more this month on going out to dinner. So it's a little more flexible in that sense, and it's really helps you kind of stay on top and adjust as you're going forwards, working towards your goals. So the next site that we want to talk about is Credit Karma. You guys have probably heard of this. This is a really good resource for you to check your credit score. And so what Credit Karma does is goes in and provides a reliable estimate of your true FICO credit score. Now, your FICO credit score is the score that actually matters. When you go and apply for a loan or a mortgage, lenders will pull your FICO score to assess your credibility. So Credit Karma, although it doesn't know the exact FICO credit score, provides an estimate. It pulls information from 2 of the 3 major credit bureaus, and that's why there's a little bit of wiggle room. You don't have all 3 credit bureaus as a source of information from Credit Karma. But this is a great place to go and check your credit score and kind of get a good feel for where you're at. It also provides tips and tricks at how to improve it. Mint.com has a similar feature. This pulls from 2 of the major credit bureaus, while Mint just pulls from 1. So this might be slightly more reliable. It's worth checking out. It's something that I do every once in a while. Now, the next site is MyFICO. So if you Googled MyFICO, this would refer to your actual credit score. So myfico.com, although it's not a free application like the previously mentioned applications, this provides you the exact credit score that would show up if you were to apply for a loan or a mortgage. You might not need to know your exact credit score, but there could be certain circumstances. Say you might be working to improve your credit and you're coming up on a big financial decision and you really want to know how that credit score is going to impact the terms of your loan. In that case, you might want to know what your exact FICO credit score is, but across Credit Karma and then the free annual FICO credit reports that you can get from the 3 major credit bureaus, there's not a whole lot of need in here for MyFICO, but this is a resource available to you all, and it provides an accurate account of what your actual credit score is. So the next one is a big one. It's TurboTax. So H&R Block has a similar application now, but TurboTax basically helps make taxes a little less terrifying. So with TurboTax, I personally use it. A lot of people who have relatively simple tax situations use this software, and it'll prompt you through a series of questions. And assuming you have all your tax documents together, which TurboTax will help say, hey, you need to pull your 1099, we need your W-2s, we need all these different forms. It'll recommend what you need to grab before you go in and file your tax return. It'll ask you a series of questions that kind of flow you through the tax return form. So instead of seeing this big, chunky, confusing looking tax form, you get this nice series of easy to answer questions, and at the end, TurboTax will spit out your tax return. Now, this is free for individuals up to a certain income level, but usually the first is free. I know that for sure, and it's a good place to check out. I know H&R Block now offers a similar platform, and they've recently improved that. It's another resource worth checking out. But before you defer to your parents or a CPA that might cost a lot, it's worth checking out what TurboTax has to offer and see if you can save a little money and file your tax return on your own. It's also a great way to learn, what actually goes into your taxes. All right, so the final site we're going to talk about, this was our little bonus that I referred to earlier, actually has nothing to do with your personal finances. This site is called ZocDoc, and ZocDoc essentially function as a Yelp.com or Google reviews for the medical professional world. So some of you might know this, some of you might not, but when you're 26 years old, that's when you get kicked off your parents' insurance, assuming they've let you stay on their insurance up until that point. And so for me, I was recently kicked off my parents' insurance. And so what that means is the medical professionals that I had access to are no longer an explicit guarantee for me. So I've had to try to figure out, who do I go to for the dentist? Who do I go for a regular checkup? And I didn't really have a whole lot of information and resources available to me. You have friends who recommend a dentist or doctor, but you kind of want to corroborate that information that you receive. And ZocDoc is the place to go for that. So with ZocDoc, you can enter in your zip code and your location and search for a general field that you are seeking. So whether it's the dentist or any other specifics, eye doctor, psychiatrist, you can Google that and it'll come up with a series of results of medical professionals in your area, along with consumer reviews. So this is a really good resource to learn about what people are saying about these different medical professionals and figure out what's the right resource for you. And it's something that I've been using, and I found it very helpful. And it's always smart to make decisions using a broad resource of information versus just one specified recommendation. So those were our top 6 sites, a little bonus at the end, ZocDoc. And really, the main takeaway that I would have from this is to go out and try these resources, especially with Mint.com and YNAB. There's a ton of resources out there. If you were to Google budgeting, saving, or financial planning software, if you were to Google that, you come up with thousands of different resources. So I would encourage you to go in and try these. And really, all they are tools to hold you accountable. And that's a really big step in moving towards your financial goals. It's easy to swipe your credit card and not look at the implications. And sometimes it's scary to realize you spent X amount of dollars on a weekend out with friends. But really just don't sweat it. Look at where you are. Look at where you want to go. Try out some resources and figure out what works for you. So I want to thank you for listening to this podcast today. We have a ton of other resources available, and I hope you enjoyed.